everyone, and welcome back to Wrestling Forever, your alternative podcast where we talk about the world of pro wrestling and all the little cool bits that go in between. We have been away for a little while, but we are back. Both myself and my broadcast colleague. Look at that. Is that Ryan Fitzsimons, the host of the #1 YouTube Celtic podcast? Is that exactly who that is?
Throw it up. It's so nice to be back, by the way, Billy. Can I just say that very quickly? I can only apologise to our loyal Wrestling Forever viewers right now as we look to build something special on this podcast. Yes. I've been busy. I've been all over Europe following Monday Night Raw and SmackDown, so it's been difficult. And you have been busy out your tits.
It has been ridiculous the month of March, so we would like to give our apologies. We are going to get you a much more regular schedule going forward, so please don't worry about that. A long car ride down to Manchester. We talked about many different ideas, and I know it feels like we keep saying that, but honestly, like a firm commitment from us that we're going to make this a much more regular thing. We're going to be back to the weekly format pretty much now. So, we just got really busy. Real life. What do you want to say?
Real life takes over sometimes, Billy. It does. But it's the road to WrestleMania, so we've got to get our act together a wee bit. However, right, see, before we start talking about wrestling, I remember a few weeks ago, right, you brought out one of your lovely new shiny belts that your wife got you, and it was beautiful. It's fantastic. But I've got something I really need to show this girl here that arrived yesterday. You're going to be so disappointed with this, but you love your old school wrestling figures. I do. Your old school. Well, I pre-ordered this about 15 months ago, and can I just say, how fucking cool is this?
Oh, CM look at that!
Look and wait for the best part, Billy. Not only do we have CM Punk, but we also have Larry. We also have Larry the dog, mate. Unbelievable, innit? Unbelievable. I thought I would show this some love. It's an exclusive from Zombie Taylor Toys, I believe, and or Zombie Sailor Toys, sorry. It is unbelievable. They do, like, you would love these. Like, look in the back. This is like the guys you can get here.
Hasbro ones, Power and Glory. Look at that.
Unbelievable. Like Public Enemy.
Bad News Alan or Bad News Brown to any of you 90s wrestling fans out there.
Abdullah. Look at Abdullah and his big tits. Unbelievable.
God. Mike Awesome. I can't see who's the two at the bottom.
So we've got the Road Warriors here, and we've got Public Enemy here. Unbelievable. We series. Aye, good, isn't it?
Are these officially like ordained by WWE?
Yes, they are. So CM Punk got his allowed just before he re-signed, and they allowed the production to go on, even though he's now a Mattel guy through WWE. So, obviously we have like Macho Man and stuff here. They done Johnny Gargano a little while ago. They do one-offs now and then. But big shout out to Zombie Sailor.
They're lovely. They're really nice.
They're
really. In the packet or out the packet, Mr. Fitzsimons?
I'm keeping it in the packet. This one. Normally with the Mattel things, I would take them out, but this Larry is not leaving my site.
See, but that's what it's all about, man. It's all about like being unapologetic wrestling fans. We were just down at a couple of weeks ago now. By the time you'll have watched this, down at the Rock Horror WrestleFest, which was a lot of fun.
You love saying that, don't you?
I love saying that. I think I called it convention on commentary at one point. It's such a bizarre time to go down, but it was so fun. I mean, you will have seen it all over social media. We were down there with ICW. We did bump into David Arquette, which is so odd, and went up and briefly got to speak to David as well. A genuine wrestling fan. Yes,
a lovely guy.
Former WCW World Heavyweight Champion. We've got to get that in there as well. But if you ever get the chance to watch You Cannot Kill David Arquette, the documentary, where he kind of makes his return to wrestling, a kind of journey to get respect and really showcasing his love, I can thoroughly recommend it. I think it's on Amazon Prime now. It's absolutely brilliant. And we had a lovely time down there. It was so cool going around all the wrestling and horror stalls, I should say. Big tubs of the LGN old wrestling figures. ridiculously priced, I'd have to say. You're going to be trying to shift those for fucking ever. But no, really, really good. And it was lovely to see all the Manchester and English wrestling ICW fans as well that came down to see us. Really appreciate that. And we had a lovely time. We just had a great time.
We had a great time. And I hope we get to do it again soon, because I feel like it was step one of something that could be really cool and special. So we'll see where that goes.
I would like to see more stuff like that from ICW, but we will see what the future holds. Right, let's talk some wrestling from the general globe and what have you. It's been a little while. We haven't, like you said, we're on the road to Wrestlemania. We've got Nos. We'll maybe keep them a bit brief, and then we'll have a little chat about the Wrestlemania in general. I want to get an I out there straight out the gate, because I saw a little bit about it on social media, and I want to give a massive shout out to Legends. Is it Legends of the Future? Is that what they're calling it?
Oh, yeah, Legends and Future Greats.
Yeah, now, I got to say, apart from some of the Panto panelist stuff and what have you, I don't know really how I think it's like Bubba and AJ or whatever the fuck it is. I don't even know what that guy's name is. And I don't give a fuck either. But what I will say is seeing some of the talents in ring, Bailey Humphries, who I've seen a clip of online. I think she's getting mentored by The Undertaker. Man, that is a monster of the future. That is a top talent of the future. Now, you might not know who Bailey is. First of all, she's a power lifter. She's a gymnast. She's an all-round athlete that was plucked and put in the program at WWE. I don't think it's the NIL program. Is that what they call it? The WWE?
Yeah, NIL.
NIL.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So she's been put in that. She's, oh my God, the shape she's in. Jesus Christ. She is... I think she might be 6 foot. I think she's 6 foot, 6'1" or something.
So such a unique presence in the ring from what I've noticed so far.
Unique look. And I will say, bringing back the old head crush, which I love as a finisher, and the fact that she had such amazing facials, like her work and that, I came across the clip and went, fuck, she's not long into this, and looked like she belonged. Like she really, really did. So it's exciting to see athletes like that just starting their journey. And if this is the NIL program bearing fruit now, I'm very excited about it. I'm very, very excited about it. So I want to give a shout out. I think this is great. Kind of reminds me to the Breaking Ground documentary that they did before. Remember the Breaking Ground series? Kind of reminds me a little bit of that, and very much on board. I'd rather watch this than the speed matches, which I think are fucking pointless.
Listen, don't even get me started on the speed matches. Billy, I am a huge fan of this new format. Let me take you back a wee bit for a moment. You remember it, especially as it aired. I was too young to remember it as it aired. But I was controversially a huge Tough Enough fan. I really like I love Tough Enough, especially the original seasons back in the early 2000s. I don't think it was as good when it revived it a few times, but the original series back when it was Taz and Al Snow and Jacqueline, who were the trainers, I loved it. And I think that this is a version of Tough Enough that has been really kind of polished up for the modern day, very kind of socially active. They're getting guys involved who might have already a social media presence, or as you've already mentioned, an athletic presence elsewhere, and they've combined it with that kind of reality aspect that was there with Tough Enough, but not as heavy in the whole Big Brother sort of feel that Tough Enough was. I like it, and I think it's a really good way to introduce you to these NIL athletes. So one of the biggest issues for me over the last few years is they've been bringing through guys from other worlds, from athletics, from football, from collegiate sports. Some of them are coming through, and we've seen this with Gable Stevenson, especially, who is now gone, of course, from WWE. These guys are coming,
which is bullshit, because his brother was actually the better of the two.
Yeah, these guys are coming in, and they have no personality. We have no understanding of who they are, and we really just doubt if they have an overall love of the game, of the sport that is professional wrestling.
You're absolutely right. I think we've had our fingers burnt before, because they brought in athletes who maybe things haven't been working out for them, or they've had that little bit of clout with the places they've been, and they're looking for that next stage. I mean, there used to be a big movement between pro football and pro wrestling, but these guys still had to go and learn and had to grind before they made it to the big time. Some of these guys look like they're getting just swung straight into that, and sometimes it just flat out not worked. It's just flat out not worked. I mean, for every Kurt Angle, there's a Gabe Stevenson, and I don't know who who was behind Gabe Stevenson. Like, I really don't know who it was, if this was a Vince McMahon thing, if this was a Triple H thing, and it just hasn't worked out. And I think as wrestling fans, we're a bit worried about getting our fingers burnt. I mean, but then you look at someone like Bayley Humphries, who clearly has a real dexterity for it already. I mean, yes, she's got the best teachers. Yes, they're not going to make her look bad. Yes, she's got a lot to learn, but it looks fantastic. It looks absolutely brilliant. So hopefully this is the beginning of more like this.
Yeah, that was the point. That was just basically what I was going to wrap up with, is I think this is a program or a show or whatever that does give us a little bit more insight to what they're going through, their learning in the business. And eventually when they come through into NXT, where you'd presume they'll all begin their proper careers, is they'll go in now with people going, oh, that's such and such that was on season 1 of it, and there'll be that kind of recognition. I think it will just help the general transition from being an athlete to being a professional wrestler. And I like the approach of it so far. I've enjoyed the bits I've seen. Gunther was fantastic on it, may I say. He was bloody brilliant.
I got to admit, Gunther didn't hold back, but he also told them what they needed to hear.
Yeah.
You know,
it's a business. You know yourself, Billy. You've watched for the last 10 to 15 years. You have been there front row watching young guys come through, and sometimes they just need told something, and they need to understand it. And
it's not good enough.
Saying it, you know,
it's not good enough, and that can be some of the best bit of advice in the world. It just put your ego to the side. It's not good enough. You need to be better. And I mean, Mickie James as well, making like a very. I mean, some say I know Mickey's not back for season 2. I know that much already. Apparently, she's been replaced by Michelle McCool, which is a shame, because I really quite enjoy Mickie James on the show. Like, on a very recent episode, she made a point of, I'll come out and repeat what she said. Like, your ass is hanging out, is what she said in terms of their outfits when we went out our way to be recognised at this. And I can appreciate how that is so frustrating for someone like Mickie, who was there in the Divas era, you know, as it crossed over to athletes and has kept being relevant to this day. And it's a good point. It's a good point. I'm not there to argue on either side. I want to make that clear, and it's not for me to make my place in the argument. But she was also given a astute opinion, which has its place. Like, it has its place. So I'm a big fan of the show. I want to say it's one of the WWE bits of programming that has me hooked just now. Again, shout out to all the athletes, Bayley Humphries especially, who has such a unique look as well. And I know some people, I'm sure, are going to be, well, God, you and I turn up somewhere, we get fucking abused for just existing. You know, so you can only think of someone that's going to be in front of millions of people every fucking day. A beautiful young lady, an incredible athlete, incredibly smart, and so eager to learn. Like, the fact that she got kudos from The Undertaker says a lot. So
it's the hardest guy to get credit from what you
certainly is, and he went straight to her. He went straight to her and went, great stuff. And hopefully we'll see more from these athletes.
Right, well, Billy, we said we're going to talk about WrestleMania's build as the show goes on, but I want to start my positives talking about a certain man who on Monday night proved every bit of his worth opening that show on Monday Night Raw. I need to talk about Cody Rhodes. The guy is a star. He is an absolute star. And
King Cody.
Listen, I'm sure we'll get into talking about the build to WrestleMania. At points, it's been strong. At points, it's been weak. I think it's been up and down, this build to WrestleMania. Yeah. It's really struggled for consistency. But there's one man who's not just been consistent this year. Not one man who was just consistent last year. One man since his return to the company and building towards WrestleMania, when he's had to do it with no support in that ring, when people who's been working with haven't been there, when The Rock's not been there, when Roman Reigns hasn't been there, when John Cena hasn't been there. Cody Rhodes is an absolute star, Billy, and he deserves every inch of respect, praise and credit he deserves. I thought that his back and forth with Cena on Monday was what we needed, because in Brussels and in Glasgow we kind of got the same sort of promo. Cena came out, said that he was going to, take the title, whatever. Cody came out and said he won't let it happen, whereas on Raw on Monday in London, he came out, cut him off straight away. He told him, you're not going to bury me the same way that you buried all these other people. I am the top guy here now, and it's my job to bury you, is essentially what he said to Cena. And I loved it. He could go tit for tat.
I love everyone's so scared of you in the mic. I'm not. It's like, why would you be? Why would you be? I mean, it's also that way. Like, people have given Cena concessions over the years. And, look, I want to make this clear. I'm not shitting on John Cena. He's the top of the game. He's the GOAT.
Amazing. I love him.
He's the GOAT. But if he is going to be a heel, then he has to be made fallible. There has to be weaknesses. There has to be arrogance. There has to be all this type of thing. And our babyface champion. And that's the thing. It's such a mad thing because I also find myself going like, some people consider Cena winning at Mania a foregone conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
But I find, there's been at times where there's been a little bit of frustration with how Cody's reign's been booked. But I find myself going like, I don't want Cody to lose.
Well, on Monday, all I could think of when the segment finished was, right, this whole time I've thought to myself, oh, Cena's obviously going to win. And Monday I went, why does this guy, Cody Rhodes, deserve to lose that title? Yeah. Because he's carried this company on his back for the last year. I mean, that's maybe unfair. There's a lot of great, obviously, Punk, Seth, Gunther, guys like that. He's not maybe carried it in his back, but he's done such a job at maintaining that position in the card, which makes him the top draw. He's known around America now. And when he first came back to WWE, it was a big question as to whether or not he could be the top guy he thought he could be. So why does he deserve to lose that title?
Well, that's it. And I think he, like you say, he went tit for tat. He didn't mince his words. I'm not exactly saying it was a shoot, brother, but it was good. It was excellent. And he got his hands on Cena. Now, in the wrestling world, and wrestling history has taught us many things. It's that doesn't look good for Cody retaining. But I'm going to take the journey on this one. I know it's such a fucking cop-out right now. It's like, trust the process. I do feel like I should be a little more excited for WrestleMania. Like,
I'm sure we're going to have a lengthy discussion about this.
We've got Gunther versus Jay, which it feels like they've done a better job on Monday than they have done for the last month. But again, they've got 6 weeks of telly. We've still got like 1, 2, 3 weeks left.
We've still got 3 SmackDowns and 2 Raws, I believe, before Mania.
Exactly. So this is where it should be ramping up and becoming the must-watch and the first WrestleMania of the Netflix era. We've got to bear that in mind. So, I don't know. I get what people are saying. I don't know how I feel about this WrestleMania. Like, I find myself
do you want to maybe
forward to it, but not excited about it.
Let me swerve into my first no of the episode then, because I think
Let's have it.
I think that this goes perfectly, because one of my no's, and perhaps maybe if we're keeping it short and sweet, I might make it my only no of the episode.
Okay.
Is the general build to WrestleMania and the feeling around this WrestleMania. I have said this word to everybody I met in Brussels, London and Glasgow. This is easily, I think, in the last few years, the worst build to a Mania we've had, maybe since WrestleMania 37, 36, and that was through the COVID eras where it was really difficult to build. Yeah. It's just, there's been highs, there's been lows, as I've already said, but we're going to, Billy, we've got 2 Raws left.
Yeah.
Right? 2 Raws left. And we only know about 4 or 5 of the matches that are definitely happening in WrestleMania. And take this into consideration, Billy. Last year, there was 14 matches on the Mania card. And this year, we don't know what's happening with the Intercontinental Championship. It's not clear at all. It's not clear. Yeah. You can only presume. We don't know what's happening with the US title. We don't know what's happening with the tag titles. We don't know what's happening with the women's mid-card titles. We don't know what's happening with certain blood feuds, and if they're going to carry over, and if there's going to be stipulation, like Drew and Damien. Is it just going to be a normal one-on-one match with nothing, no stipulation? We have no clue what half of the things that are going to happen at WrestleMania is, and we are 3 weeks out. How have they let this happen?
Yeah, all I can think of is this. There's been a lot of moving parts, a lot of new shows introduced, new TV deals, trying to establish new feet in the dirt and all this type of thing. NXT blooming, and they've got to make sure they spend time on that. All I can think of is a little bit of that. It's getting pulled every single week. There's a lot of wrestling on just now. Hey, wrestling fans, we fucking love it. But I do wonder if it comes down to that, Ryan. There's just too much going on just now.
Maybe that you've raised a point. Maybe they have been a little bit flustered with, right, we need to settle this with USA, with Netflix, with CW Network. We need to try and get all of that finalised first before we really commit to anything. Maybe this is what I've tried to tell myself is that this, because of the Netflix era just beginning, is the learning curve for WWE trying to move forward so that they can take the mistakes from this year and iron them out so that next year it doesn't happen.
A great point. I mean, you think of the distance between going on Netflix and WrestleMania. It's only 4 months. It's only 4 months. I mean, I'm sure they were ready. I'm sure they were primed up in order to make that change. But I just wonder if it's about that. Do we need to get this WrestleMania out the way? I think there's lots of other factors. There's maybe been some missteps as well. I mean, being in Vegas is not great. I was working with a couple of people at the weekend. In fact, I'm talking pish. I was gigging a week ago, and there was a couple that were telling me they are going to Las Vegas, but they regret booking. An exact quote: "They regret booking because it's costing them so much money." There's a trip to WrestleMania, and then there's like a family holiday. That was the way it was described. Would I take a family? Would I? If it dropped in my lap and it was cheap enough flights, I'd love to go to WrestleMania, but I'm not going to WrestleMania this year.
Do you want to know something really kind of scarily interesting?
What's that?
This is in line to being the lowest attended WrestleMania since WrestleMania 22, which was the last WrestleMania to be held in an arena. Now, this is in a stadium. That is insane. So this is going to be, unless ticket prices fall dramatically in the next 2 weeks and the card shapes up to be amazing and we know it's clear, this is, I think that they have sold something like 45,000 tickets for both nights.
And that's like an 80,000 seater, isn't it?
It's like 70k, I think. And the last few years we've had 70k, 65k, 60k. They claimed that they had 100k in Texas. We've had all of these huge attendances. For it to drop to 45, don't get me wrong, Billy, I'm sure we would love to perform in front of 45,000 people both nights.
Stadiums can get moved, so it'll be, phenomenal. I mean, and you also have to bear in mind, like, how much of that, I mean, some of it can get, Vegas is a destination, right? I think that's where they fucked up, because Vegas itself is very expensive. I think it's the first Mania in Vegas. I'm more than happy to.
It's the first since WrestleMania 9. Remember Caesar's Palace?
Oh God!
Yes.
You might have just answered your own question then. You might have just answered your own question. Maybe there's just some states that don't need WrestleMania. I would argue Vegas is one of them.
Yep. Vegas is expensive to go to at the best of times, let alone when it, like, I don't know if you're an F1 guy. I quite enjoy my Formula 1, and they started the Vegas Grand Prix a couple of years ago. They were trying to shell out tickets for the cheapest ticket would be like $8,000, and that's before you bought a pint of milk. That's before you're getting your hotel room, which gets inflated because there's an event on. So it's an absolute no-go, Billy, for big events like this.
Where we're looking right here. Is so in comparison to last year they sold 60,000 on night one, and near enough the identical number, literally 100 to 200 people difference. Reporting the tickets sold for each night were 56,000 and 56,000. So there's not a lot in it. But the combo tickets this year are £700. Travel over there is easily $1,000 a person. I think this is a demonstration of why I don't think WrestleMania should ever come to the UK. I'm sorry, there's going to be people losing their fucking minds.
Billy, how could you say that?
I've said it. I don't like, the only place we can do is Wembley. The only place we can do it realistically,
unless they hold out for this new big 100,000 seater that they're building in Manchester, Man United's new stadium, but that's going to be a good 5 or 6 years until that's there.
It's a decade away, easy, man. It's a decade away. But and these prices, I get it. Like, they're on Netflix. Are people voting with their arses? Like, are they going, I can pay, particularly in America, I can pay to go and see it. Nothing like being live at the Cup final. Or can I sit at home on Netflix and I can watch the whole thing with my family and my snacks and my juice, and I don't need to worry about taking the kids, and we can all go on holiday to Florida this summer. Yep.
That's it. I've always thought that. I've always thought to myself, when they announce a UK Mania, should the day ever come, and the ticket prices finally drop, are the general UK public just going to go, well, bugger that, I'm not paying that, and then it's just going to be a big empty Wembley Stadium?
Hey, but the situation here in Scotland, when we were on at Hydro, prices were straight in the mark, didn't even look at it. I know you went to the Hydro to see the Raw taping, which brings me to my no. It wasn't very good, right?
It was the weakest. If you're talking about Raw specifically, it was the weakest. I was at all three. I was at Brussels. I was at London. I was at Glasgow. Glasgow firmly comes last for many reasons. But I'll let you go. You go from your point of view.
A couple of things about this. First of all, I wasn't at the show. Yeah, at the game. No, I wasn't at the game. I was gigging that night on the other side of the city, to be honest. I was Dennis stamping this. I wasn't booked, so I wasn't there. But I also know I was going to watch it later online. You know, that's just how it was. I knew I was going to watch it later online. We also are suffering from something here. Like, Glasgow is built up as such an incredible audience because it is. From time with ICW, I can tell you some of those experiences are just phenomenal. But I wonder if we suffer a little bit from a reputation preceding us a little bit. Like, a hot crowd in Glasgow is going to carry through the show. Let's look at Clash of the Castle. It was okay. Right? It was okay. And there was no surprises. Then you went and come to Scotland. You've done your Monday Night Raw with not one Scottish athlete on the lineup.
I can't believe they didn't even have Drew out for a promo or even a dark match to get the crowd going.
They've done this to Drew before, though. They've done this to Drew before when Scotland came through. They came through Scotland and he wasn't even booked on the shows, which is horrendous. But I understand that can be tricky and it literally could come down to a booking thing. It could be an injury, it could be a travel thing. Maybe he's away doing media stuff. Hey, it's not like we're not coming back. I get all that. But for me, it was Monday Night Raw in the Netflix era. Beyond Cena and Punk, I thought it was a very meh show. And it just felt like, here's the thing, like, I said this before ages ago, not every episode of Breaking Bad is one you remember. I get that, right?
At the end of the day, it's weekly storytelling.
It's a weekly episodic show. I get that. But I feel like we're cursed here in Scotland.
We've been really cursed, haven't we?
Yeah, and
apart from, like, go back to 2016, the Raw and SmackDown, the first ones, they were great, 2 great shows, but every time they followed up since Clash last year, now this, you're like,
to not even have Gallus on the show, to not, and again, it's not all about showcasing the Scottish athletes. I get that. Like, I'm not ignorant to that. Stop giving us so shows here in Scotland and charging through the arsehole for them.
Yeah, there was something I wanted to say about.
Sold out, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was sold out. The building was full, man. There's a couple of things I did want to say in that regard about the show being there. Number one, it was the weakest crowd out of all the 3 I was at. London was far better. Brussels was the best by a country mile. One of the biggest elements of that, I believe, is the pricing. Yes. At the end of the day, if you're charging over £200 for a ticket that lasts, for an event that lasts 3 hours, you're not going, and this is no slight on the people who were in that building. I'm not trying to be classist here or anything like that.
Yeah.
The people who make the most noise are not the people who are paying £500, £600, £700 for tickets. You know, the people who make noise are the people that are paying 50, 60, 70 for the tickets. They're your loud fans, the diehards, not the millionaires who can maybe go, I can part with that. You've
nailed it right there. You've nailed it right there. I was on a clan wrestling show the weekend. A lot of families there and what have you. And a family show is not going to give you the like you would expect. So it is a balancing act. And don't get me wrong, the clan wrestling show was class. It was like really lots of fun. But you're right. You're pricing people out the market. But we need to make the money. But how much money are you making? When does it get to the point of, and it ties in with the Mania thing, it's like, how much money are you making? Like, how much, like, when does it get to the point of making sure you're putting something in place which really, really works for us? I'm coming out and say it. I had never any interest in going and seeing Monday Night Raw. That's fucking Monday Night Raw. And also, I've got to say, the Cena promos have been great, but it's also been disappointing that the farewell tour has been a lot of Mike stuff.
Yeah, we've got to see him wrestle, don't we?
Yeah, are we going to see it? Like, we don't know how many dates he has left. Is it 30? Is it 25? How many of it is it he has left? So that's it. We're not going to see John Cena wrestle again in Scotland. Yeah. That's disappointing.
Or the UK. Or the
UK, by the sounds of it. That's disappointing.
Yep. Can I also throw in something else that you might find controversial? Let me just reiterate this. as a venue, it's fine. For wrestling, I think the Hydro is a terrible building. An absolutely terrible building. You cannot build an atmosphere in a building that is made for... It's an auditorium. It's for music. It's shaped like an auditorium. And it's terrible. I hate it.
I'll take that point, and I'll agree with it. But you didn't see that coming. I'll take that point.
No, you're a man who was obviously there for a very different type of wrestling show. Obviously, it was ICW. It was presented differently. It was set up differently. It was a very different show.
Like, the crowds on the night were fantastic. Like, they were really, really good. As loud a crowd as you are going to get. Right? I want to make that as loud a wrestling crowd as you are going to get. I mean, obviously, they could have been more, so it would be a wee bit louder just for anyone gets in the specifics. And I think you'll find that there was another fuck up. But what I will say, I agree. Like, when we did ICW, the SEC, I preferred it. I'm going to come out and say it. I preferred it. Slightly lower roof, the fans all being on the floor, all standing together. I think there was maybe some seats at the back. You have to double check that for me. I can't exactly remember. But I don't necessarily think it works for wrestling.
It doesn't.
There it is.
And there's a reason why, like in London, the O2 is styled after your kind of American basketball, NHL arenas, and that's because it's made for sport. But the Hydro is an auditorium. It's for music and it's not for wrestling, and that's why I think the atmosphere wasn't that great. Or I said it as well. Another reason was the ticket prices, but one of the couple of reasons that the atmosphere just wasn't great.
Yeah, no, I don't think WWE have managed to nail a good atmosphere. If they had a chance, it was Clash at the Castle. Maybe that'll come down the road again. Maybe there needs to be work done. Who knows? But I'd agree with you. I'm actually away to see my first music concert at that music concert. Listen to me. I've just won my gramophone record.
Your music concert.
I don't even know what to say. Gig. I'll just go. As a man that fucking gigs every weekend, you think I know the terminology?
Yeah, I think so.
But the reason I prefixed it like that is I've never seen a music gig in the Hydro ever. So I'm away to check them out, and I will report back if there is a difference. Like,
I'm interested to hear what your opinion is of the Hydro for music when you're done.
100%. Yeah, I'm keen to see how it goes down, man. I really, really am keen to see how it goes down. Right, I want to get to something that I've been looking forward to, and that is your clown of the week.
Oh, well, I have a few contenders, man. Let's go. I want to listen. I don't want to get political or anything like that here.
Here we go.
I seen one that really pissed me off, which was directed at Glasgow. So I know we just went through the whole Glasgow crowd wasn't great and the Hydro wasn't great or whatever, but I'll throw it up on screen. I seen this tweet in relation to Bianca Belair on social media that said, "Why do these overseas crowds always boo black women? It's happened too many times for it to be a coincidence." And apparently it's because Europe is the most racist continent in the world, right? So I don't want to get political. I don't want to, but as a Glaswegian, I felt like I had to say something about this, and I had to talk about the fact that we were apparently booing Bianca for being a black woman. First of all, Bianca Belair, I love you. You're great. You are a phenomenal talent, and I'm sure you're not going to hear this, but I appreciate you. Second of all, there is a reason why Bianca Belair was getting booed in Glasgow, because I don't know if you remember the segment well, Billy, but Bianca was the one that was treating Io with a little bit of disrespect, that attacked Io, and Io Sky is a face wrestler who is adored by fans.
The fans,
it wouldn't matter.
Let's put it this way. I'm going to come out and say it. I know this gets me a lot of shit. I've never quite seen the Bianca Belair thing. I'm coming out and saying it. I've seen matches that she's been in. She's fantastic.
That's fair.
She's a phenomenal performer in that ring. That I will give you. But I've just never seen it. The fans have chosen Io.
Yeah. And remember who the third person is here.
They can do about that. There's nothing. Would I boo Bianca Belair? No. Unless she did something really hunty, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And can we remember here for a moment who the third person involved is? It's Rhea Ripley, who is arguably the most loved female wrestler of the last 5 years. She has took herself to levels of superstardom that have her on the same level at the front of posters with Cody Rhodes, John Cena, Roman Reigns. She is the top woman in WWE's eyes. So when you have Bianca Belair in the unfortunate position where she is up with the most popular woman and one of the most beloved women in Io Sky, somebody's going to get a little bit of heat. But I can guarantee you that the Glasgow crowd, whoever it was, I've just closed off the photo now, so I can't even say whose name it was. It's escaped me. I can guarantee you that the Glasgow crowd were not booing Bianca Belair because she was black. Because Glasgow is one of the most inclusive cities that you could ever come across in your life. And I can guarantee you, from speaking to so many wrestling fans at that show, they adore Bianca Belair.
Yeah, I've got to say, right, and I know that people will immediately throw up all manner of like screenshots and all this type of thing, but wrestling fans are pretty much some of the most progressive motherfuckers you will ever meet in your life.
Yeah,
like, you really,
especially here. Especially here.
That feels, I mean, I don't even know the mindset behind that. I don't know what you were watching. I don't know what you were thinking. It's insulting.
It makes me feel sad and insulted to see it get as many thousand likes that it got, and all these Americans piling in the comments to agree and bang on and whatever.
America, you need to watch yourself. Right?
Yeah.
It's just like, you need to fucking watch yourself. You're pissing off the rest of the planet right now, and we love you. We love you, but you need to watch yourself.
I'm a cheek at the minute. And it ties into, I think that if I was to generalise now my Clown of the Week segment altogether, not to just pile it onto this one specific person's tweet, it would be, and I mean this with all due respect, I love America. I'm sitting here wearing a Philadelphia Eagles cap, for goodness sake, and I've met so many lovely Americans, but all I've seen for weeks is, can't wait for the European crowds to be gone, can't wait for it to be back in America. The crowds make it about themselves. The crowds make wrestling. And just because the Americans want to sit on their hands for 3 hours and give it what is their only chant, doesn't mean that the European crowds are bad. They're the best fucking crowds on the planet.
This is what I'll say, right? See, from state to state, the crowds are always different, man. Like a Philadelphia crowd, a New York crowd is incredible. Oh god, there's so many places like Charlotte, North Carolina, Memphis. They always fucking bring it as well. Here's the thing, man. Like, so I've been over to WrestleMania a couple of times, and again, I find the fans like. Let's put it this way: how many riots in modern day times? I want to make that clear. In modern day times, we're going to prefix that. You can read into that whatever you want. But we are progressive, we are encouraging, we integrate really fucking well with each other. Like, we really, really do, because it's the type of people we are. Is there bad apples within a wrestling fandom? Yeah, of course there is. I'm not going to be fucking ignorant to that, but that's bad people. That's bad people.
There'll be bad people in every walk of life, every sport, every whatever.
In fact, I'm going to prefix it again. That's a bad person. That's a bad person. And those people tend to get weeded out quite quick. If somebody went to a wrestling show, and I can say this in Scotland, and they were saying something racist towards an athlete, that would be dealt with very quickly. And if you don't know what that means, rest of the planet, then you've never been to fucking Scotland, right? I can assure you that. There's a couple of things you don't tolerate. My man, you're a football fan. You've been there. You've seen the nastiest moments. You've seen the darkest moments. And it's dealt with very quickly on whatever side of the fence you find yourself on, right? You're not welcome. We don't want you if you're like that. We don't want you. We don't want you. So to hear that generalization is poor. America, we love you. We love watching your shows. We love watching your fans going fucking mental. We really genuinely do. We loved integrating with you at WrestleMania and events. That Raw after Mania is a very special place in my heart. I remember hanging about with a whole bunch of American fans that we've been hanging out with all weekend, just having the fucking time of our lives. It's wrestling fans and rugby fans are the best. Football fans,
rugby, they don't drink each other's piss.
Yes. Yes, but we don't. But we're fine with it. We're fine with it. We don't care where the piss came from. Tell you that right now. let's get to some questions, shall we, sir?
Yes,
we had a lot in. Just let me go to my screenshots if you'll give me just 1 second.
Take your time. I am looking forward to this.
Here we go. Here's one. I think this is a good one for you, actually, mate. This is sent by Aiden at AOB270198 _ of course. He says, if Gunther retains, who do you see dethroning him and when? Same question if Jay wins.
Right. Okay. Right. This is a good question. I'm pretty convinced that all of this leads to Jey Uso winning the title. Now, I'm a Gunther fanatic. He's one of my favourites in the whole world. I would love Gunther to retain, squash Jey Uso and carry on this reign. But I think we all know where this is going, whether it's clean or Jimmy helps, whatever. I think we all know where it's going. If Gunther was to retain, I feel like it has to be somebody like CM Punk. It has to be a big star. You could put somebody over, of course. You could wait till someone like Ilya Dragunov is back and you could have him beat Gunther for the title, but I just feel like it would have to be somebody huge to make Gunther losing feel sort of believable. Whereas with Jay, you have a very different situation. Jay is somebody who has never held a world title, might only get this one chance of winning a world title. It feels like they're giving him the reward for all that. Similar to kind of Kofi Kingston when he won a title. And I mean that with all due respect, but it feels quite similar to that. So I could see a few people beating Jey Uso, and one of them that I could see doing it, depending on what happens following WrestleMania. Don't ask me why, I just have a slight feeling before he retires they might give AJ Styles one last run with a world title. I could see something like Styles and Jay. But listen, I would love Bronson Reed to return and absolutely murder Jey Uso, squash him for that title and become world champion. So I think there's a few names out there that could potentially dethrone the champ.
It certainly is. I'd agree with all of that, mate. I don't like... It's a tricky one, really, because, like, in wrestling, we do kind of like it when we're led down the path to where we think this is going. But then we also do like surprises. If Gunther were to retain, where the fuck does Jey Uso go? Surely back to the tag division with Jimmy. That's the only thing I can think of. It's like, but Cody Rhodes, it took a year. It's like, you're absolutely right. But I don't think there's another Royal Rumble win for Jey Uso. No. Somebody has to lose on the night. Unless there's a big return or there's some type of horrible swerve in there somewhere, I don't think Gunther. But then Gunther is so fucking good. He's one of the best in the world, man. One of the best in the world. But I will say, traditionally, we very rarely have face champion. It does happen. It happens with Seth. And happened to, Cody, roughly around about the same time. If Cena wins, then Gunther retains. It's just that simple. I don't see two heels champions at the top. Hey, it's not been done. I mean, again, the WWE is all about doing something different. As for who he could wrestle, Damian Priest, I think there's unfinished business there. Damian feels like he's dropped a little bit in contendership a little bit. It's such a strange one because we're getting another draft as well following WrestleMania, so we don't even know who's going to be on Raw or who's going to be on SmackDown. Because straight away my head goes to Drew. Man, Drew should be a world champion. But will he be on the same show as Jay or Gunnar? Don't know. Only I wish Drew was wrestling Damian Priest for the world heavyweight title. Yeah, I'm gonna try and say it. Just like I wish that match had a title. I genuinely do. I wish that match had a title. Well, we got that in Glasgow, Billy. Yeah, didn't we? To some extent. So, in terms of people he's wrestled, of course, there's he's always going to be the likes of Braun Strowman. There's like of Braun Breaker, Bronson. It all begins with B's, and if you only have a B, is Sami Zayn. A little bit of business for him and Sami Zayn wrestling for the world title, because the title Sami never won. Sami never won the belt. So there's Kevin Owens in there as well. That would be a great feud. So I think he's
seems when Brock Lesnar returns the night after Mania and takes it.
Not happening, man. I think
no, it's not. Just to clarify, that was a sick joke.
I think Braun's done. Braun's done. A couple of questions have come in from me very quickly, and I'm going to deal with them very fast. Let's see. Stig Brad has said, will there be any more clan wrestling shows? Enjoyed the debut on Sunday. Thank you, mate. We really appreciate that. Don't have an answer for you right now, I'm afraid. That is out there. As GM, I have to atone to the board. When I get the iggy that something's going to happen, you'll know in due course. It was a lot of fun, and thank you very much for your support. Want to get this out of the way very quickly. I'm not going to... is the question person on here? I don't know if they are. No, they're not. So I'll get this out of the way just very quickly. I've been asked about Jack Jester leaving Insane Championship Wrestling. Right, this is the annotated notes from this. I know Ryan's already heard this. I'll be very fast. First of all, how do I feel about it? I'm very sad. Very sad for multiple different reasons. First of all, Jack Jester has been with ICW for all this time. Jack Jester is my friend. I have spoken to Jester on the phone today, so don't go thinking it's like, oh, it's all... No, Lee Gregg is a friend of mine. And I always enjoy hanging out with them. I always enjoy working with them, and I look forward to working with them again one day. In fact, I know for a fact we're going to be working together on some stuff at some point. And he has been the backbone of ICW. He is Mr. ICW, and I mean, I've no idea what's happening in the future of anyone's realm, but I would hope that he can find his way back at those three letters he loves in some form at some point. And that's really all I've got to say. It ain't my circus, it ain't my monkeys, but I know my friend is doing what is right for him just now and what he feels is right for ICW, and he has my support, and I'm going to miss working with him, and I look forward to seeing him again very soon. That's the end of it. I think that's kind of like a joint statement almost on behalf of me and Ryan, but from a personal point of view, nothing changes. Like I say, I had a good laugh with Lee on the phone earlier on today, and he's doing great, and he's got some things lined up which are going to be fucking awesome. So all the very best. Let's get back to our question, shall we?
Yes.
Where are we? Do you think the security guard producer pull apart between wrestlers is being overused in wrestling?
Oh, yes. Somebody's brought it up. Oh, we spoke about this in depth in my group chat a couple of weeks ago. I'm so sorry to the man I loved as a wrestler, Brian James, a.k.a. the Road Dogg, but that man should not be head writer of any fucking show. Do you know what? I'm just going to keep it short and sweet.
SmackDown's dropped. SmackDown is
dropped in quality. And it's every week. It's split it up. And it's happening on Raw as well, to be fair. But man, listen, I'm glad that it's not just me and my mates who've been noticing this. They have overdone it. They need a bit of variety, a bit of spice. Every week we do not need to be watching wrestlers getting split up by fucking security guards. It's so lazy. It works when it's effective. Yeah. And I can remember ones that were... do you remember, for example, the one that always comes to my head was Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker back in like 2015 when they were going into their SummerSlam match and they had a brawl on Raw that was separated by security, and it was brilliant. It was fantastic, and it felt genuine and real. It doesn't feel genuine and real when it's happening every 3 times a fucking show. So WWE need to look at the writers. I know that they have put up a post for new writers. They're looking for new writers at WWE.
I did see that.
And hopefully when they hire these new writers, they are doing something different from security brawls or whatever.
May I suggest, get some creative folk that are already involved with wrestling? Reach out to the... I mean, the thing is, though, they put these people through the fucking ringer. I mean, there's Jimmy Jacobs, who had a very prominent role in WWE as a writer, and basically went, this schedule's too much. This is too much. And it is. I mean, you're writing God knows how many bits of programming a year. I think you need to be bringing in some old heads to identify some new people from a creative point of view. Like someone said to me the other day, well, what about getting somebody like Punk involved? Punk's still on the road. Punk's still out there doing stuff.
Punk's got enough to worry about than writing at the minute.
Beyond a bit of mentoring or maybe pitching ideas for himself, he probably doesn't have a lot of time to do other things. The man is allowed to have a fucking life. So
the man has a dog to look after.
But I look at some of the other people that have been on the rosters. I mean, we've just seen a big creative change over at TNA. Delirious is back in. Delirious is back on that side, along with Tommy Dreamer. I mean, would it be crazy to reach out to Gail Kim about coming in the creative side for the female roster? I know there's no love between her and WWE, seemingly, but time mends all manner of bridges. So, but yeah, to answer your question, F. Mackay, yes. Oh, but what are we going to do instead? Think of something. You're getting paid millions of pounds to fucking do it. If you're doing that a couple of times on the show and we're getting bored with it, like it's something they've been doing at pull aparts and weigh-ins and boxing for like fucking 80 years or whatever the fuck it is. And we do it in wrestling each and every week. Those poor bastard security guards, who funnily enough always look like wrestlers, those poor bastard security guards who work for that mysterious firm with the black shirts that just says security in white letters across the back. Fucking like, you got to do something or or change the dynamic on it a little bit. Do something with it. Make somebody the head of security. Make somebody the head of security that's in charge of keeping the wrestlers in fucking check when they're out there. It has been overdone and it's being overused right now. Right, so it's bad enough that I appreciate two guys start fighting in the ring. You don't want them to fight. You want them to go to the big match. Yeah, you're gonna wait. But then, why are there segments where they don't come out?
There was, I remember back in, like, I don't remember, I wasn't even born, but you look back to the Attitude Era, and there was all these great segments with guys like The Rock and Austin or whoever, and it would be like, every week it'd be something different, maybe only one of them was actually there live in the flesh, and then they'd throw somebody up in the screen, like, remember Austin throwing belts into the river and shit like that, like, give us stuff like that, get somebody on a screen doing something a wee bit more comical, give us something to react to, something to laugh at, something to cheer, boo. It doesn't always need to be two guys in the ring making magic. They can be different creative angles that get other things involved.
Making magic sounds sexy, just to make that very clear. I mean, that would be it.
Edge and Lita, they done it.
Yeah, instead of a pull apart, they start fucking. Oh my god! Then what does security do? Like,
what did it do?
I mean, we should probably stop this. I mean, this feels like a matter for the police.
you know, get involved before you know. You know, you never know where that's going.
Big Boss Man Jr. That's what they need. Big Boss Man Jr. Get it fucking cranked up and get him out there. You have any questions, my friend?
I had one about Karrion Kross.
I did see that.
Did want to answer. Let me just quickly get the username of the person back up so that I can give them their there we go. I'm Ragnar said, what is your thoughts on Karrion Kross? Do you think he could become a world champion with his current gimmick in the Triple H regime? We have spoke about Karrion Kross from the very first episode of this podcast.
Yeah, we love him.
That both of us are big fans. World champion, we don't know. Now, apparently, Karrion Kross is in his contract year.
I heard that. That's worrying.
It's a big year for Karrion Kross. I was there on Monday, of course, in London, and Karrion Kross had a couple of bits of business that you might have missed, because number one, it was a main event match that was taped against Akira Tozawa, where he returned to his old music with Scarlett, the old entrance, when it turns to the black and white, the good music, not the Death Rebel garbage. Yeah. So he returned to his new music, his old music. It was great seeing him back to that. His in-ring work was once again great as always. And then there was a little, which you would only see if you watched live, you can't see it in the repeats. There was a promo with Karrion Kross through one of the ad breaks with Jackie Redmond. And once again, he just proved how good a talent he is and how good a speaker he is. And I hope that in this contract year, after WrestleMania is done and out the way, they finally give him that television work that he needs to try and gather a bit of momentum behind him.
Yeah, this is a man that's been fumbled before, and for me is like is a blue chip talent, and he's proven it. Like, there's a guy like, okay, you want him to be a big monster, there he has been a big monster. You want him to be relevant and connecting with the fans. He's doing that. He's smashing up things in social media. I mean, he's on Chris Van Vliet all the time. This is a guy that is relevant and out there. Make an investment, WWE.
Yep.
Make an investment. I'm not saying putting the world title on him, but this guy's nearly babyface.
Have him work with world champion caliber talents.
Yeah.
You know, give him those opportunities. They teased the whole business with Sami Zayn before Sami was wrote off TV. let's see it. Play it out. I want to see what he can do with Sami Zayn instead of just teasing it.
We would have great matches. Two guys that can, amazingly talk, and I mean that's a great way of looking at it. I mean, there's a guy that can challenge Jey Uso.
Yeah. Why not? Build the momentum. Obviously, needs a bit of momentum first and reason to be in that position.
There's a guy that challenge Gunther.
Yeah.
I mean, two big horses.
He's one of the very few two-time NXT champions.
Exactly. So, I mean, there's a pedigree there. I hope he doesn't go anywhere. Like, that would be, for me, a massive fumble on WWE's part. Like, it would be massive.
It kind of feels similar to the Dijak situation this time last year, where Dijak was really starting to get momentum on his side via the use of online platforms, and Karrion Kross has started doing that, and they should be rewarded for being innovative and getting themselves out of these positions where people want to see them.
Yeah, and I think it would be a real, to answer your question, I think I am Ragnar. I should say I'm Ragnar. I'm not sure. I am Ragnar. It's a great question. I like his current gimmick. I think it needs to evolve. If we're somewhere between the Karrion Kross that we've been seeing in segments, and when what the fuck were they called when they were all the New
Final Testament? The Final Testament.
Yes. He's been shackled from them. He stood out as the star of them. So I would say the fact that he's been kept on is a sign that they see something in him. He's a guy that I think you could put on fucking commentary tomorrow when we do a good.
Yeah, 100%. Great talker, fantastic talker.
I would argue no. He shouldn't go anywhere. He shouldn't go anywhere. Yeah. Keep him signed up. Keep him on the roster, and push him towards some meaningful stuff. What does that look like? I don't know. I almost feel like there's a face turn waiting to happen.
I could see him pull it off. A kind of dark face that has a real unique side to it that we don't see that often.
I mean, you think of that. You think of like him beating down Jey or something as Karrion Kross is at ringside and Gunther going, yeah, you're right. You will walk away. You don't want any of this. And it's like, that guy is 6'4". That guy is 240 pounds. It can break 2 baseball bats with a fucking chokehold. It's like, did you forget who the fuck you were talking to, Gunther? Did you forget? And let these 2 big horses. There's a guy that could take the title of Gunther. I'd
love it.
Well, you're right. Needs a bit of time to work on, but you need to do it now. I think you need to do it now. And in post-WrestleMania, plenty of opportunity. Don't send him back to NXT. He doesn't need to go back to NXT. He's ready.
What would also help is get more than 5 matches in a damn pay-per-view so you can give guys like this a chance.
Well, there it is, mate. We're going to have 2 nights at WrestleMania. I don't think there's going to be an Andre the Giant.
It'll be on SmackDown. They always do it the night before on SmackDown nowadays. Remember, Big Bronson won it. That's a question. There's a question for you. Not a lot of thinking here. Just a top of your head. Name that comes to you quick. Who do you think will win it this year?
Oh, do you know Karrion Kross wouldn't be what we've both just said? A great place to start for Karrion.
There you go. Great shout.
A great place to start for Karrion.
It's hard to tell because we don't even know who's on it. Because in my head, I'm like, okay, you could have Jacob Fatu win it, but he could be on the Mania card. We don't know.
Yeah. Be a great place to start for Karrion. Could put him straight into a feud with LA Knight for the US title.
Brilliant idea.
With that momentum. I mean, those guys are going to talk up a storm. They've worked together before as well. I'd be into that because those 2 could go on the mic, and Scarlett's always entertaining as hell.
Yeah, exactly. Great.
Yeah, I'd be into that. We've answered our own question. There we go. Karrion Kross.
There we go.
That would be a great.
And
nobody. That's the whole thing about a talent like Karrion. Like, he wins, everybody goes, yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. It's not like a who and a what. It's that totally makes sense.
Yeah. I agree.
This fucking 6'4", 6'5" monster is able to chuck all these other people over the top rope.
Yeah.
Who else would win that you'd care about? It's going to be someone to elevate.
Yeah.
Did that for Bronson. Didn't do it for Mojo Rawley. Did it for the other guy.
They were meant to do it with Cesaro, and it didn't quite pan out that way because of a certain Vince McMahon.
Fucking McMahon, Jesus Christ! We'll see him get mentioned on Monday and not get mentioned. Just say his name, you cowards. Just say his name, you fucking cowards. You just don't have a fucking trademark on it or something. On Triple H.
Do you know who I could see winning the Battle Royal? El Grande Americano.
Mate, I might already be over it. I might, because the thing is, I like Chad Gable.
Oh, I love it, man.
I like Chad Gable. I like, and I miss seeing Otis on my telly as well.
Yeah, same. I miss Big Otis.
And I'm like, fucking get a grip, man.
They've prolonged so many things. But anyway.
Right, that's us back with a brand new episode. We are going to be bringing more additional content as well. Maybe solo videos, bits and bobs. We talked about a couple of things, particularly on the run up to WrestleMania.
If you'd like
season. Any tier lists and bits and bobs, and let us know. And of course, if you have any questions, any topics, or of course opinions, we would love to hear from you. You can hit us up on any of our socials, or indeed just pop it in the comments wherever you're viewing this video. And yes, we are going to catch up on the Spotify thing. That's my job. I'm going to make sure that's all up to date very soon, so don't worry about that. And they'll be up very weekly, and along with all the other stuff. It's very, very cool. Ryan, any closing comments, sir?
No, just everybody have fun, be nice, and we'll be back for what will be a very interesting episode next week.
I don't know what I was doing there. It's when you think just randomly lunging at people. I saw the thread on social media and it does make me laugh. It does make me laugh a lot. Randomly lunging at people. It's like, hey, would you like some coffee?
It gives me the fear.
I don't like it, but I do go. Funny. Oh no, I need a shake. Anyway, I'm getting out of here. Right, we'll see you next time on Wrestling Forever. Look after yourselves. Bye.